I grew up in the Middle East, far from Kerala, yet somehow never far from it. Like many Malayalee kids raised in the Gulf, I straddled two worlds, one outside my home and one within it. Outside, I was part of a multicultural diaspora, absorbing everything from English cartoons and Hollywood action flicks to the non-stop stream of Bollywood music videos playing on satellite TV. But inside my home, that was Malayalam territory. That was where I truly lived, in the world of Kiridam, Kilukam, and Tanmatra. These weren't just movies. They were anchors, warm, textured, unvarnished reflections of life. They had a quiet emotional honesty that Hollywood's spectacle and Bollywood's gloss often lacked. But I soon learned that loving Malayalam films wasn't exactly cool. When I told my North Indian friends I watched Malayalam movies, they laughed. "You mean those dubbed South Indian action films?" they'd joke, reducing an entire artistic tradition into a punchline. For them, Bollywood was the be-all and end-all of Indian cinema. And everything south of the Vindhyas was either mocked or forgotten. Even among fellow South Indians, there was hesitation, a fear of being too regional. Accents were scrubbed, languages hidden, pride muted. And whenever a South Indian film was remade in Hindi, I'd proudly say, "I saw the original. It was better." But even that was dismissed. A friend from Karnataka once told me, "Well, Bollywood must have made it better." As if the South was a rough draft waiting for a final edit from Mumbai. I didn't have the words back then, but I felt it deeply, a clear North-South divide. One where Bollywood didn't just dominate, it erased, and then came the corporatization. Over the past 2 decades, Bollywood has slowly transformed from a creative industry into a corporate machine, a place where storytelling now takes a backseat to strategy decks, profit projections, and franchise potential. Just look at what's happening today. Singham again and Bhulaiyaa 3 are perfect examples of this shift. These aren't just films, they're corporate products, engineered in boardrooms, built on predictable formulas, packed with star power, marketed to death. What do they offer? Sequels, spectacle, a parade of familiar faces. More than half of Bollywood's A-listers are squeezed into Singham again, and Bhulaiyaa 3 rides entirely on nostalgia, leaning on the legacy of a film it doesn't truly understand. This isn't storytelling, it's content manufacturing. Bollywood's current blockbuster formula is almost algorithmic. Remake a South Indian hit or an old classic, or make a biopic, add a massive star. Throw in glossy VFX and action set pieces, wrap it all in a marketing blitz, and watch the first weekend collections roll in. But what happens after that weekend? Silence. Because despite the hype, the soul is missing. Films like Pathan, Jawan, Singham Again, and Bhulaiyaa 3 might open big, but how many people remember them a year later? Do they linger in the heart the way Sholai, DDLJ, or even Rang De Basanti did? The answer is obvious. The irony, the very South Indian films Bollywood once mocked are now inspiring their biggest hits. But instead of learning from their depth and authenticity, Bollywood often just copies the surface, loud action, flashy visuals, while ignoring the cultural and emotional core. And that's why, even if you love or hate a film like Retro, the recent Karthik Surya collaboration, you can't ignore the intention behind it. It's a film that dares to go back, stylistically, emotionally, even thematically, to a different time. A film that tries to bring something new into the mainstream by reaching into the past. Whether or not it connects with everyone, it still emerges from a place of passion, not just profit. And that makes all the difference, because intention matters. In an industry where so much content is now algorithm-driven, where trailers are tested more than scripts, and where a film's announcement poster often has more thought put into it than its story, something like Retro feels refreshing. It reminds you that cinema can still be personal. It can still be bold. It can still be made for something more than just opening weekend numbers. It's this kind of effort, flawed or not, that gives me hope. Hope that the soul of Indian cinema is still alive, just maybe not where we've always been told to look. I no longer feel embarrassed to say I love Malayalam cinema. In fact, I feel sorry for those who haven't discovered it yet. It raised me, it respected me, and it never tried to be anything other than itself. Bollywood, once the dream factory of India, is at a crossroads. It can continue down this path of empty spectacle and calculated content, or it can rediscover its roots, its heart, its vulnerability, its soul. Because if it doesn't, the very industry that once dictated Indian cinema might become irrelevant in the conversation. I say this not with hate, but with love. Because I grew up watching Bollywood too. I danced to its songs. I cried with its characters. But somewhere along the way, it stopped speaking to me. And Malayalam cinema. It never stopped. It whispered when others shouted. It stayed real when others turned plastic. And now the world is finally listening. This isn't just an essay about films. It's about identity. About being laughed at for loving something real. About finding your voice in a world that tried to silence it. My story is personal. But if you've ever felt like your language, your culture, or your cinema was considered less than, maybe it's your story too.